first came to Virginia back in '85, it was ill because they had an AM station called
1350 WRAP.
No, it turned to 1350.
Okay,
when I first came here, it was 850.
Oh, okay.
WRAP, and they
with Church Street Greek and all of them.
Right.
Yeah.
Jack Holmes and so forth, and they had a show that used to come on in the afternoon called the Afternoon Rap Attack.
Yeah, I remember that.
With my man H.J. Ellison, shout out Pioneer Hip Hop Radio.
H.J.
Can't sleep on H.J., but I'll always give him props because he would play hip hop every day, and he would feed cats every single day. So the hip hop and the respect and the love and the exposure of the underground has really always been an underlying factor here in this market in Virginia. Anyway, all we did was came along and we picked up on that and we rolled with it and we kept feeding it to cats. And as time went by, cats came to expect that of us. And that's why we've been able to maintain it so long. My biggest inspirations, DJ wise, as far as just turntablism, Grand Mixer DST, Grandmaster Flash, Jazzy Jeff. Jazzy Jeff was incredible. Oh, in the 80s, he was off the hook. Radio-wise, definitely, without question, Red Alert. Red Alert is like my idol, and to this day, he's my man. You know, so I could call him up right now, we can kick it. But Red Alert basically changed the whole sound of radio, and Red Alert basically created the format and the formula for presenting hip hop on the radio, and a lot of cats don't know that. But there was also a cat when we was in North Carolina. There's a guy by the name of Gilbert Bays, who was on a radio station down there called D103. From what I understand, he's still in Fayetteville. He's like a weatherman now or something. But he was originally from Philly, but he used to cut it up on the radio. I would go see him at the skating rinks and just watch, and I wouldn't even get no skates. I just stand by the DJ booth all night and just watch this man rip it up. And he used to kill it, and he was a strong inspiration on me. And as far as being an announcer goes, all hail Super Rockin' Mr. Magic, formerly WBLS in New York. He inspired me to want to be an announcer. And if you listen to my delivery on the air, you'll still hear a little Mr. Magic up in there.
I also want to say big up to the Awesome too. You know what I'm saying? Because Teddy Ted, Special K and them doing that thing, because when I first got into radio, see Law, you know, he came up in radio like talking about it. I went to school for business, and you know, I learned radio. I was always into music and doing parties, like he said, since he was in high school and all that. But to actually learn radio, you know, between Law and like he was saying, Gilbert Bays also got to give it up for the Awesome too. Big up.
Yeah, no doubt. Believe it or not, this man refused to talk on the air. Nah, but the first because what it was, I got hired at 103 back in 1992, and I was doing a early morning mix show with this cat by the name of MC Spice. That lasted for about a year. It was called Your Mama's Rap Show. It was, you know, interesting experiment. It lasted for about a year, but then Spice moved on from the radio station, and I thought they was just gonna get rid of me, but instead they turned around and was like, yo, we want you to keep the hip hop show going, but we don't want just the mix show. We want a show that has we want a show that has a theme to it. Because anybody can just get up there and play records, but I want you to bring a theme, and I want you to bring something else to go with it. So that's actually when I brought the name Buddah Brothas to the table on the air. And I needed somebody to talk to me, and at the time, BigB was acting as a board op, and basically I was doing all the talking and all the mixing, but he was in the main studio running the main board, taking phone calls, so forth. And I used to try and get him to come on the air and talk to me. He, no. See me get on the mic, man. No.
You gotta understand, back in the day, you know, I was a little bit apprehensive because I wasn't what you would call a polished announcer. When I think of radio announcers, like I said, I think of the Mr. Magics and I think of the Gilbert Bays.
But I try to tell you, nobody polished when you first started.
Exactly. So it took me a minute to become comfortable with talking on the microphone and, you know, just everything that goes into holding down the radio show. So with a little bit of time, I became more comfortable, and you know, now it's hard to get me to shut up. So
true.
We come a long way from that.
And thus we, you know, the Buddah Brothers came to be, and the show we had was called Live from the Hood.
And that's how the name came out.
Yeah. The name Buddah Brothers was actually an inside joke. When I lived in I lived in New York for a few years in Brooklyn, and I had a friend of mine that lived in my building named Tony Spade.
Big Tom.
He used to be down with the Fresh 3 MCs back then. You remember F-R-E-S-H? He was like their DJ. But anyway, that was my man. We hooked up, and for reasons which will remain under the table for the time being. We used to call ourselves the Buddah Brothas as an inside joke. And you know, a couple years later, when I came back to Virginia and got on the radio, I was like, you know, that just might work. To be honest, I didn't think it would work. I thought my boss would scream on me like, Buddah Brothas, are you out your mind? What? Nothing was ever said. In fact, my boss came back to me, I like what you're doing, it sounded good, it's working, keep doing it.
10 years later, still doing it.
Still doing it. Buddah Brothas still on the airwaves.
That's positive. How did you all link up with KRS a few years back for his album? Did you all just record it and then send it to him?
No, actually, what it was, KRS had a party at Jimmy's Cafe at the Bronx. And he invited DJs from all over the country to come to this party. And we went up there, and while we was at the party, he asked us, he said, yo, I want y'all to do a little something for my album. He was like, Chris, what? What you mean, man? You know what I'm saying? And they was like, just, give us a little drop or something. And I was like, cool. And that's how that came about. But massive respect to KRS-One, one of the greatest MCs that ever lived. You know what I'm saying? He's still doing it. He's still a concept.
No doubt.
Might need some tighter production, but lyrically, he's still that cat. You know what I mean?
About a year ago, you all's time slot changed from the evening to the afternoon. Was there any conflict or disagreement with that change? Honestly, man.
I wouldn't say it was so much conflict. It was definitely something that we had to get used to for the simple fact that in radio, the evening show, the 6 to 10 show that's when you're supposed to be at your grimiest. That's when a radio station will take it to the street. And of course, that's what we had done for years. But basically what it ended up happening was we became so big and developed such a large following at night that when the guy who was doing afternoons, who happened to be our boss at the time, KJ Holiday, decided he wanted to get off the air and be program director behind the scenes, they needed somebody strong to put in the afternoons, because of course KJ had a strong audience. And at the time, DJ B was on to come up. He had been doing like weekend mix shows and the morning mix and everything, and he was on to come up. And so they decided that, well, we're going to move the Buddah Brothas to the afternoon to see if we can, maintain those strong afternoon ratings that KJ had. And we're going to try DJ B out at night, and it turns out that it worked well. It was an adjustment for us because you can't be as grimy as you want to
during the day,
during the daytime as you can at night. But they kind of compromised with us, and they were basically like, okay, Monday through Friday, we want you to do afternoon thing, but we'll give you Saturday. And so we have Saturday nights now. So you can still experience grimy Buddah Brothas 6 to 10 every Saturday night inside the Buddah spot.
No doubt.
Now, if you want to copy the Buddah spot on CD or whatever.
See, this is why he's the businessman.
This is the shameless plug. It's the shameless plug. If you want to copy the Buddah spot, it's 4 CDs per Saturday night. Just hit me at BigB at BuddahBrothers.com, BOODAH Brothers, BROTHERS.com. Give me information, I'll make sure you get one.
No doubt. No doubt. What else?